Today is going to be a bit of a sensitive topic for me. It's a topic I've never really been super honest or transparent about, but being that, I wrote a best-selling memoir, Sir Thriving, which you can buy on Amazon, and I talk all about it in the memoir. Well, it's time to talk about it in real life. So, today's Father's Day in the US, and something I never ever have talked about before is like my relationship to my parents around these holidays. And so today I wanted to share because if anybody has had difficult moments within like the Mother's Day and the Father's Day, because there's a lot of guilt there that we don't feel all excited to celebrate this day. There's a lot of like confusion, like why we don't get to celebrate this day like a lot of other people do. There's just a lot of, yeah, I think it brings up a lot of moments where we realize that we don't have closure with things. So today I wanted to talk about Father's Day when you grew up without one, and the truth about father wounds and how overfunctioning is basically a byproduct, especially for high achieving women. So if you can relate to today's topic, if you find today's topic super helpful, I'd love to know. You can drop it in the comments below. But the first thing I want to say is that if you grew up without a father figure, first of all, days like today, Father's Day, can be pretty difficult. And the reason for that is because you realize that you basically went your whole entire life without one of your key role models. Now, for me, my father left when I was 9 months old, and I was raised by a single mother who battled addiction to alcohol. And at the age of 12, I entered the foster care system. So this isn't about having a parent fail me. I genuinely believe that we picked our parents as soul, we have a soul contract with our parents to come and do life with, but it doesn't make these days feel any less sensitive. So as I grew up, I really didn't know what it was like to have a dad. And even though in my two foster care homes, I had a father figure, I just wanted to survive. I didn't know any different. And I just honestly just wrote it off. Like, well, I don't know what it's like to have a dad. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of like, I don't know what it's like to have siblings. I don't know what it's like to have grandparents. It doesn't matter. But when you become an adult and you realize how instrumental your parents are to your growth as a human, you realize that you really did miss out. And you have a lot of questions and you wonder why maybe the effort really wasn't made. So today, what I want to talk about is I find that women who didn't have a father figure or had a father figure abandon them, they tend to pick older partners. And I can say that in my case, my partner is 12 years older than me. And there is this bit of like father figure I think we're still looking for. And I know I'm really like generalizing here for the female population that might resonate with this, but we're looking for protection. We're looking for safety. We're looking for stability. We're looking for maybe you won't abandon me. Maybe you'll choose me. And while on one hand I could say, oh, that's really sad, that's not really what this is about. This is about just having a really honest conversation and like dragging shame out of the corners of our lives, because the more we can share our stories, the more we can come at them with awareness, the more we realize that there's a lot of strength here. And it's actually what made us who we are. So how did growing up without a father impact us, especially as high achieving women? So the first thing is that you became a performer to feel safe. That hurts a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like that cuts because I can relate on so many levels. And while it's not a bad thing to be a performer, right? Like, we hear all the time, become this next version of yourself. Confidence, courage builds confidence, and you have to go and take action to get results and all that. There is a level. And if you've had this experience, like growing up without a father figure in your life, there is this part of you that always feels like you need to perform in order to feel safe. So when you have a father figure that's been absent, unreliable, or conditional, the child becomes an adult way too early. And because of that, and I say we, because this was my experience, we learn to earn attention through perfection. How pretty we can be, how good we can be at taking on roles, how productive we can be, how gritty we can be. Like we find our worth through that attention. And because of that, it amplifies success for us. We say, okay, well, if I can prove my worth, if I can perform that I can do anything and everything, then success is inevitable. And if success is inevitable, then that means that success is survival. And so the reason why this is so dangerous is that success is not always sustainable, not in the way that we know it to be, because we are always growing and evolving as humans. It's like the seasons, it's not always just, I mean, unless maybe you live um, in the desert, but even so, like the seasons are not just always summer or always winter, unless maybe you're in Antarctica, but then nothing is really living there, minus if you're a polar bear. So, let's just take this example and apply it to life. Like we know there's seasons, we know there's ups and downs, we know that there's like iterations of ourselves. And because of this, if we're always banking our success on survival, it means we're always left empty. We're always left unsatisfied. We're always left needing and wanting more. And because of this, we could become so high functioning. Because we're out there, we're doing all the things. Look at me, look how amazing I am, chasing gold stars. But we actually never felt held. We never felt safe. We never felt what it was like to slow down. And because of this, our nervous system does not relax around receiving. That could be receiving our partner's love. That can be receiving assistance in business. That can be receiving money. The thing is that we were never loved for simply being who we were. In fact, it was really subtly ingrained in us that who we were and what we were doing was not good enough. So somebody left, again, at 9 months old, I don't have my adult brain that I have today. We were just simply tolerated for doing and trying to survive by being successful. Which leads me to my second point, which is that then if we're always chasing success and we're using success as the matrix of our safety, then we're always going to take on too much. We're going to take on too much in business. We're going to take on too much in love. You just don't overperform at work. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So you do it in your partnerships too. You play roles like being the therapist, being the manager, being the coach, being the motivator, being the mother, because your body expects that disappointment again. And this was one of my biggest lessons that I shared in my 14 lessons after being married for 14 years as a child who really grew up at the age of 12 and went in the foster care system. But my father left when I was 9 months old. Like I didn't really know my father. In fact, I was researching in my memoir, I looked up the word dad. I looked at how many times I used the word dad in this memoir. It was 98 times. This is my life. This is my life up until 2019. No, 2018, 2019. 98 times. My mother, 1,000. So like this, it's ridiculous. So not having the father around, maybe not able to receive. And one of my biggest lessons in my 14 years was that I was playing multiple roles and I was mothering my partner. And when I mother my partner, well, puts him straight into his feminine, and that makes him someone I can't really depend on, or what I mentioned earlier, like unreliable, because I'm out here trying to control everything. So this message is so important. And I don't think we've really heard it a lot. And I'm trying to figure out how to refine it to, make it click with more people. But ultimately, this unresolved childhood trauma, not being raised with one of your parents, is affecting how you're doing life. And even though we can do all our affirmations and meditations and all that without that awareness of how your patterns are being driven, there will continue to be patterns. So the thing is that your body, because it's been so conditioned to be left, if, for example, your partner, someone in your business is a human, they drop the ball on something, you're like, I cannot rely on you. I'll do everything. I'm going to do everything myself because it's safer than being let down again. So it's not that you don't have support in your life, even though so many of us, we have this subtle messaging that we constantly give ourselves. Like, I don't have support. Nobody's here to support me. I can't rely on my husband. I can't rely on him to do anything. Whatever the phrase is that you're using, it's not that you don't have the support. It's just like you literally don't trust it because you still have that little girl in you who was abandoned, who was left by her father. And was basically told to suck it up, or she had daddy issues, and so both like don't feel great, especially when you're on the receiving end of that. Like, so instead you just kind of put your head in the sand and you become an overachiever, and success becomes your new metric for survival, and it leads to this constant cycle of just burnout in your relationships, burnout in your career, burnout in your business, burnout in like never coming back home to yourself, never being able to settle down and relax. So how do you actually heal this fatherhood wound? And as much as I want to like try to give you all of that today, it's just not possible in today's live in just a few minutes. But what I will say is it's not about forgiveness. None of this is about forgiveness. This is about awareness, and this is about reprogramming. Because even though these things happen to you, you get to decide what you want to do with them. So the first thing when you're reprogramming yourself is that you simply get to stop needing to be the everything for everyone so that your nervous system can recalibrate. And it can look as simple as being like, you know what, I'm actually not going to be available tomorrow. You asked me about dinner, and what I heard is, why isn't it ready yet? Like, just having honest conversations with your partner. And from that place, you're not begging for loyalty. You're not trying to ask, for more commitment. You are literally just expecting it. And when you feel like you're constantly being disappointed, not because you're not in control, but because the other person is really dropping the ball, that's when you walk, when it's not there. But 98% of the time, it is actually there. It's just we're so in our heads to make sure that this situation with our father like never happens again. So you don't have to prove that you're enough anymore. And what you do have to do is stop entertaining people who are not supporting you in a big way, who are playing small, who are not showing up. Like they are not worthy of your attention at this point. So Father's Day is not always fun to celebrate. Father's Day actually doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. For me, I hated the day because it meant that I had to call my dad and pretend like we were this happy-go-lucky family, and which we absolutely were not. I mean, I just remember this person walked into my life or walked out of my life when I was 9 months, came back when I was 7. I saw him like one time for, I don't know, a few hours. And then at 12 years old, when Child Protective Services took me out of my house, he came, picked me up. I spent like a summer with him. I saw him one more time when we went to like Disneyland, again, pretending we were like one big family. And then at 15, I started getting to know him more and more and more. And then I owe all of my entrepreneurship DNA to him. So I'm grateful for that. And we did connect a little bit more later on in my adult life. But he also had this attitude like, oh, when she gets older, then I'll get to know her. And I just feel like he really missed out. And so for me, I didn't go to the funeral. I feel really complete with that chapter. I'm grateful I don't have to make random pressured phone calls anymore. I think it was an unfortunate situation, and it's not one I talk about a lot, and it's not one that I plan to talk about really anymore. But I did want to record this just for anyone who struggles on days like Father's Day and Mother's Day, because you don't feel like you had a great relationship with your parents or any relationship at all. So it's kind of like salt in the wound. I just want to say you're not alone, and I see you. And if your childhood taught you to carry the emotional weight for everyone, healing the father wound really lets you finally set that down. I was able to do that through human design. That really helped me in my healing journey. And if that's something you're interested in, you can always send me a DM, or I'll make sure I have the details down below. It's called Reclamation, and it really is about reclaiming your voice, because again, part of the healing journey is just actually reprogramming yourself. So that's it for today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, wherever you're tuning in from, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.